Today's video won't be particularly about Marvel rivals, but I do think that there's some overlap within the communities between this. Tradwives, there's absolutely no connection there, I just had to get the hook. Then maybe some of the men might overlap just a tad bit, but a lot of the time when I was looking at stuff for Marvel rival ideas for long-form content, the videos don't tend to perform as well. So instead, I'm going to be looking at the rise of tradwifeness, and especially because I am 18 and a lot of these wives are about my age.
Look, being a tradwife isn't just about wearing sundresses and making sourdough all day. Being a trad
I assume that it's pretty obvious that tradwife is not just about making sourdough all day because one, the husband would get bored, and two, don't you tend to have a purpose for being a stay-at-home wife? Like, typically that purpose ends up being for children.
tradwife has become kind of a caricature, so here's what it really means. Firstly, it means putting God, your husband, and your children in the center of your life, in that order.
Okay, one, she messed up center. I know that she probably did that to engage. Whatever, I just wanted to point that out because it pissed me off. Two, why is God coming first? God will live whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're asleep, whether you're awake. God, I don't feel like should be the number one. And then your second being your husband? Like, your husband is a grown man, I assume. I assume these women are marrying grown men. He can take care of himself, especially if he can support both of you on his income. He's a grown man. He can take care of himself. Your children should come first. Your children are the only ones that aren't going to be able to be self-sufficient. Especially because, like, I don't know, I feel like even if you're really religious in your middle of prayer and your start crying, like, you should go to your children. I'm not a mom. I'm not anywhere near being a mom or anything like that. And even then, where I work, occasionally you'll hear a kid cry. I Even I turn to look, even though I know I'm not responsible for them. They aren't my kid. I don't know what the hell to do with a crying kid. I mean, give it a lollipop? What else are you meant to do with it?
Secondly, it means respecting your husband's name in public. Just because
Yep, respect your husband's name in public, gotta make sure that you put some respect on that name.
other women are gossiping and airing out their dirty laundry doesn't mean you should be.
Yeah, but like, gossiping is so fun. I feel like, okay, if it's not harmful, what do you describe as gossip, especially as an adult? Like, I feel like I get what you're saying in school. Like, you're like, oh, look, this kid, he keeps wearing these really flashy things. I think he's gay. Like, that's gossiping, and that could actually be a harmful form of gossip. But, there's other versions where it isn't harmful. Like, for example, the most recent thing I could think about is that one of my classmates, or former classmates, is pregnant. I thought that was, I mean, good for her. She seemed happy. She kept it. I assumed she wanted it. I'm happy that she's happy. That's the most that we've discussed about other people, and I feel like that's just like a normal thing of like, oh, I wonder what my classmate's doing. Like, I don't know, what would you even gossip about as an adult? Like, I'm trying to think because, I have a full-time job. What would I even gossip about? How useless one of my coworkers is? Hate him. I will go on about it. Don't tempt me.
Thirdly, trust your husband's judgment. Your job as a wife to let him lead your family in the right direction.
I feel like though he wouldn't know the best. You would know the best if you're the stay-at-home wife. You would know best what's best for the family. Your husband probably doesn't know that your eldest daughter is trying to get into a calculus class, but she keeps being really concerned about not passing pre-calc with a high enough grade. Like, there's just so many things that you would be better equipped to understand than he would be. Or if it's a finance thing, like let's say you were trying to hire a tutor for her, you should know the finances. You're at home all day. And unless let's take it, like I was saying before, a baby to like a toddler, completely understand. That's different expectations. But especially if your kids are grown and they're in school and they should be in public school, I don't think anyone should be homeschooled. I think too often that forces children to be isolated. And I just don't think, I have not seen anyone do home parenting or stay at home, whatever, homeschooling in a way that I think is appropriate and healthy for the child. The baby cannot consent. The child cannot consent. At best, maybe present the option once they're, I'd say, middle school to high school. At that point, the person is old enough to make those decisions. I think that there is, like, if there's bullying being involved and homeschooling is the only other option, I do think that's worth considering. And I do think that once your kid is old enough to make that decision, you should cue your kid in on it, but you should not make decisions like that for someone who cannot offer proper consent.
Even if you disagree or are skeptical about something, you married him at the end of the day, so you trusted him for something.
I get this point, but like, I feel like it's one of those things where, let's say I got a spouse. I could trust them, and I could not trust their cooking. I could trust them and go, no, you're full of shit right now. This is the dumbest thing I ever did here. what do you mean I don't trust you on this? But also like a level of distrust. Once it gets to the point of like you genuinely distrust them, I feel like you aren't compatible. We should discuss steps moving forward, couples therapy. Like, especially because to me, trust is such a big thing. It feels so weird to say that you don't trust him. Like, I get disagreements. You can trust someone and still disagree. Like, I could trust my spouse and still disagree on having eggs for breakfast. Or I could trust my spouse and disagree on something larger. But once it gets to the level of you don't trust them, like if you don't trust them to look after your children, you don't trust them to have what's best in mind, that is something that should be discussed within therapy and maybe in a courtroom.
Fourthly, and this is the most obvious one, take care of the home. If your husband gave you the privilege of being a stay-at-home mother, you need to make sure that the home is running like a well-oiled machine.
I feel like this depends. I feel like it's apparent that she doesn't have children. I don't have children. I've never been around babies or toddlers for more than 30 minutes at a time. If that, that feels like a long time. Like, even I know that that's unrealistic for an age that you're actually, like, you would be wanting to stay at home. Because don't get me wrong, there's times where maybe it is better for one of the spouses to quit their job, stay at home, because childcare is hella expensive. I remember I asked my mom, and I'm like 18 now, so this was like, 16, 17 years ago. She would have had to give her place of work her entire paycheck and still owe them 10 cents just for me to go into daycare. Not my sister, not anybody else, just
Well-oiled machine. And of
oh
course,
my goodness. With this next point, you can tell that she does not have children. Again, I don't have children. Even I know this shit doesn't work like this. Like, what the hell? Oh,
that means that his clothes is ready, food is on the table, and not a speck of dust in sight.
like she doesn't have children. This is so apparent. Never once does she say what you'll have to do for the children. Never once does she say, hey, make sure that they're ready for bed or make sure that their homework is done. Like, it is so goddamn apparent that this woman has no idea what it is like to raise a family. Like, oh my god. I cannot understand this woman. Like, not having a speck of dust. That makes sense if you're a stay-at-home wife with no one to look after other than yourself, the house, and your husband once he gets home from work. Otherwise, what the hell? Like, I don't know. I'll be honest, that also feels like a boring life. Like, I can see now why so many women are making TikToks, and I think if you're going to be a stay-at-home wife, you should be doing something so that way if you need to leave, your children need to leave, your husband dies. Obviously, none of these are things that we want to think about, but they're all things that could unfortunately happen.
Make sure your kids are taken care of.
Make sure your kids are taken care of. Like, I feel like that's so bland. Like, I feel like if she actually had kids, she would be talking about homework, sports, practices, making sure they need to are where they need to go. Like, she never mentions any of that. Like, it's just children taken care of. Like, if you look at this overall video, and I know I keep pausing, this was a little bit harder, but if you were to look at the overall video, she hardly spends any time talking about children. It's all husband this, husband that, and now she talks about wanting to have sex with her husband. Fine. You know what? Good on you. Good on you for that one. I have no pity.
And, the other stuff. And keep in mind that the lifestyle is not for everyone.
It's clearly not for everybody. I mean, most people now can't get a job. I know this is part of the reason why I could see it being a more appealing thing. I sent out 20 to 30 applications. I got one interview, and separate, I got a job. Same place I worked last year for the summer. Like, it is so hard to get a job in this economy. That's part of the reason why I started making videos. I don't feel comfortable that I will be able to get a job after college, especially knowing more about the economy. Here's a red flag for me too about the economy. I keep getting ads for Depop, Vinted, all these secondhand apps are telling you how much money you can make from selling your stuff. I've never seen ads for those places before. That's like having an ad for the thrift store. No one needs ads for a thrift store. If you are that Okay, there's a few different reasons to shop at a thrift store, one being economics. If you are that poor, you don't need an ad to tell you that you need to shop there to be more financially responsible. Or if you care that much about the environment, you don't need an ad to tell you that. Like, I feel like there's nothing about a thrift store or secondhand online thing. That's why they aren't advertising, hey, look, you can buy this, look at what you can buy. I saw one, maybe two ads, and now all I see is you can sell with no fees. The buyer pays for shipping. You get to keep everything that you sell it for because people need money.
Everybody. Some people just don't have what it takes to do it.
I don't understand what that means. Like, that's condescending, and I know that's clearly meant to be condescending because, I mean, hello, look at the video, one engagement. Ah, you know? But, like, it's just so weird to me to say that because I feel like it's a large amount of economic factors. Like, I am certain there are plenty of women who would love to do that, but are terrified to rely on their husband for income, or their wife, or their spouse for income. Because I know for me, I've seen how people grow up, and I've seen when people aren't able to divorce when they need a divorce because of financial needs. And I could not imagine if I were to have children, which is a big if at this point, I don't think that this would be something I'd be okay with because you need independence. You need to be able to escape. If your husband dies, you need to have backup plans. And I know everyone talks about be them, that won't happen to me, but it does happen to people. This shit happens to people. Husband could lose his, have a heart attack, could have a stroke. Like, unfortunately, this shit happens. He could become abusive one day after picking up alcohol. So I'm also focusing on things that could happen to the husband and not necessarily to the spouse.
And that's okay. If you're a guy and this landed on your For You page, send this to your girlfriend or your wife. And if you're the wife and this landed on your For You page, the recipe for this is in the caption.
Some people do, but it's because it comes to that point. No one gets married going, you know what I dream of one day? I dream of getting a divorce. Or I saw a video someone else had made before, and like, stage, she signed away all the alimony and everything. Move on to the next video. Before I got more into this video, I had to check, and according to the profile, especially because this was posted, 2023? This is like an actual real life, like she genuinely believes this from what I can tell, because I thought it was satire. I thought there was no way this is real.
We live in a day and age where traditional homemaking has been forgotten about and even looked down on.
I don't feel like it's necessarily looked down upon. I mean, at best, you could say maybe people discourage it more because they're trying to make sure that the woman is safe. Like, I feel like that's the best it is. Like, honestly, I mean, I kind of feel like if you're doing it responsibly, and obviously I know what I think of it as responsibly, but hey, if you want to be irresponsible, you're a grown ass woman, do whatever the hell you want. More power to you, you know? But like, I don't know, I feel like people get indoctrinated into it so young, and I don't want to say that they don't think about it or they can't think about it because I think I've grown enough to make decisions long term. But I know other people my age definitely don't. And I know this is probably one of those things where right now I'm probably hemming and hawing a little bit more because I'm not saying that young people shouldn't be allowed to vote. Because I think there's a level of difference between voting for a president, especially because we live in a two-party system. There's only ever going to be two options, so that the options are narrowed down for you. And so, like, not only that, but we aren't relying on a singular 18-year-old to decide who the president should be. I think you should all rely on me to decide who the president is, but that's a discussion for another video. Anyway, I do think that, like, otherwise, it's a little bit harder because I don't know. Like, I didn't make my decision about going to college alone. I definitely talked to people about it. I did consider a gap year. I considered going to college. I considered what kind of college I want to go to. I did consider, again, not going to college and also potentially going to trade school. But I had a variety of reasons for that. And even then, one of my big rules right now for myself is I don't want to get in a bunch of debt. That's like a big thing. Like, if I don't want to do that, I want to make sure that I have some good return on investment. I don't want to go for journalism and on it or something like that. Notice to people who go for journalism. I understand why. I understand the appeal. But I also know that like my parents would definitely disapprove of that if that's something I was trying to do. They would want to see some sort of ROI, which I think makes sense. And I kind of feel like if you're a stay-at-home wife, especially if you don't have children, just go to school. Just get a 2-year generic degree. Who is it? Cardi B, I think that said that you should get a business degree because now she's stuck paying all these random hoes because she didn't go and do it herself.
Women are fighting to be in the same positions as men, indoctrinated to focus more on their careers and less on the home.
But like, how can you focus on the home if you don't have a career? Because especially if I were to also think of it as what would traditionally be the men's perspective, they have to focus on their career. The career is the only thing that matters because without that career, the family is fucked. Like, in a bad way fucked, Like, I just don't understand. Like, but money is like what makes the world go around. Like, you need money. That's why the career matters so much. I wish we lived in a world where careers didn't matter. I wish we lived in a world where everyone could pursue their passions and not have to worry about an ROI. We don't. And so, like, we have to be realistic with ourselves when we discuss these things. And the realistic answer is that you have to focus on your career. You can't focus on the home because the home relies on the career. It's like putting the chicken. It's like trying to pull a cart while putting the horse behind the cart so the horse pushes the cart. I guess the horse can push the cart, but it's not going to be as well as if you just put the horse in front connected the cart to the horse, and let the horse run along.
God did men and women more than just biologically different. Our roles are meant to complement each other, not to compete.
I guess I kind of get what that's saying, but like, I don't understand, like, especially because, like, if I were to think about it from like a doctor's perspective, I currently have a male doctor, but before I felt, especially when I was younger, a lot more comfortable having a female doctor. Even now, I still prefer to have a female, a woman doctor who's a specialist, even though I see a male doctor for everything, because, there's some things that's a little bit TMI for a dude, in my personal opinion, like, without having a rapport, and so I kind of feel like it's really weird not only that, but teachers. Okay, I apologize for what I'm about to say, but it's just true within my school district. Our school district does not vet people properly. We have had multiple pedophiles at our school, and they've had to eject them. And most of the time, it ends up being men, not women.
Husbands are to be the breadwinners as we are to be the bread makers.
I kind of feel like that's a little bit weird though, because like, I don't know. I understand that they're still providing value in some way, and so like basically she would do this with or without a job. Perhaps with or without a job, but she's producing her own form of domestic labor. Whereas like what my econ professor was talking about, like now, you might buy pre-made meals, like HelloFresh or something like that. Okay, that's something that normally a woman would have produced, and so should be equivalent. Is that something of equivalent value sort of thing? I don't know. I just feel like it's so weird. This whole concept is so weird, but I've also said before, I hate gender roles, so that's probably like my big thing of like, well, why are you not the man?
So along the line, feminine has been replaced with feminism with the sole purpose of keeping women out of the home, which
I feel like feminism has not replaced feminine. I think those are two completely different words still. Feminism is more of a movement, feminine is more of a descriptive word. Like, I can say, I feel really feminine today. I feel really masculine today. It doesn't change the fact that I'm a feminist day in and day out, regardless of how I feel. That's just such an I would like to hear her explain a little bit more of that other than just to take women out of the home and into the workforce. But also, like, you're going into the workforce. I assume she's making some form of money from these TikToks, even if it's not a lot? So it's just like kind of weird.
forces those to rely on the government to teach and raise our children. Marriage is
Okay, I do think that there's valid points of criticism for the government. I think there's valid points of criticism for public schools, but at the same time, so what, you believe that you're a better teacher than everybody else? I mean, I'll be honest. I think I would hate my mom if she raised me like this and she raised me in the home and forced me to have traditionally feminine roles. I would hate her. I did sports. I did what would be traditionally more masculine things, like I played basketball. I play volleyball, which I guess is more of a feminine sport, but I also play softball, which I guess technically is a feminine sport, but it's the woman equivalent of baseball. I guess my point is more so I didn't join clubs. When I think of most of the other girls in my class, most of them didn't do sports, but they did some form of clubs. So I know was typically in like masculine spaces. Even now, with my interest in gaming, I tend to be in masculine spaces where there's more men opposed to more women. And so I would just be pissed if my mom said, or like my mom said, "Hey, you can't wear pants today. You can't wear pants ever because you're a woman." I would be pissed.
falling apart because the God who created it is being left out of it. And
The
in
God who created it, a God doesn't need to be in my marriage. I mean, what is this, a throuple? Also, why would I want to share God with everybody if we're a throuple? Like, it was my spouse, myself, and God. Why would I share God? God would be mine at that point? Like, unless we're all in just one huge relationship. And if so, I want a divorce from a lot of people if that's the case. Not only that, but I think part of it too is that a lot of I tend to be in queer spaces. I'm a queer person, and I toyed with all the different micro labels. So trust me, there's labels that I subscribe to right now, like gender fluid, that my parents just don't really understand. Or even honestly, I've been looking for micro labels within that because I think I found some that might fit me slightly better than that. Or with my sexuality. Right now, I say bisexual to me. That's such a niche label. My parents don't know about that. If I were to tell them that, they'd probably make the joke of, "Oh, you're attracted to berries," which I mean, reasonable. I made the same jokes. I think that's kind of funny, honestly. But like, you get my point where like they just wouldn't know.
overall disconnect in the home because the one created to nurture it has been empowered to neglect it.
What do you mean empowered to neglect it? The one created to nurture it. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's just more of a I will never understand parts of this because of how gendered it is. If that makes sense.
We live in a day and age where traditional homemaking
Well, I guess that's the video. I'll go try to find a trad man, or maybe look more at the trad wife with no kids, because what the hell do you do all day if you don't have children?
Some people wonder how I fill my time as a stay-at-home wife. I don't have children, I don't have a job or a side hustle, I don't go to school. What do I do with all the time I have? Well, let me tell you. Today for dinner, we're having poppy seed chicken. It's a very simple comfort food recipe. 2 cans of cream of chicken soup.
Okay, I feel like this just kind of proves the point. Like, I know I looked briefly at the comments and they're like, taking care of the home is a full-time job. Which it can be. I mean, that's part of the reason why you hire house cleaners if you're wealthy and stuff. But it is just so interesting because don't you ever get concerned that like do they just not have anxiety about like their husband leaving? And if so, like, can you pass me whatever pill makes you not anxious? I would love that.
5 cups chopped chicken, a cup of sour cream, some Ritz crackers, put in the oven, you're good to go, so you're right. But we don't eat processed food. I started yesterday by setting out the cream to sour and taking out a whole chicken to defrost. Today I put
Okay, this sounds like that you're just like making work for yourself to give you something to do, which is fine. I just don't see a lot of use in that. Like, it's like one of those things where, like, yeah, I guess I could, scrub everything I could try to pick up every single micro piece, or I could go in with a vacuum. Which one is better? I would say the vacuum.
that chicken in the crock pot, and then I picked the whole chicken and set the bone aside for bone broth. The cream of chicken soup I made myself, and I made the crackers myself from
Which, I mean, good on her for making all this stuff from scratch. It might be healthier. I don't know enough about food to tell you that it probably is, because then you always know exactly what went into it. And, as long as you are eating the bad lettuce, then I guess you shouldn't be getting diarrhea from this stuff, right?
sourdough. This morning I also put the rice to soak, so we have soaked rice, which is better for digestibility. So as you can
And I mean, it's kind of apparent when she mentions it being better for digestibility that, assuming that is true, I don't feel like fact checking it. So, under the assumption that's true, she clearly took the time to research this topic, which is good because, I mean, what else are you meant to fill your time with?
see, it took me a lot longer to put together an easy dish that if I was a working woman, it probably would have taken me 20 minutes to put together, especially if I got a rotisserie chicken from the store. Some
Yeah, so I guess it just seems like you manufacture work for yourself, which, I mean, you need something to do all day, but that kind of tells me you don't have something to do all day. So that's why you waste time effectively. I mean, clearly she doesn't think it's a waste of time. Good on her. I'm glad she's happy, but like still. As I did find one for a stay-at-home husband, and I was just curious to hear it from the male's perspective, mostly because whenever I send one of my dude friends a video, it has like a man and a woman in it because they're doing like couple cosplays. He's like for this most recent one, he's like, "Oh, he was really careful with that grab." I'm like, "What do you mean? I don't understand. I've rewatched the video. I still don't know what he's saying."
Why I love being a stay-at-home dad, cooking and cleaning for my family. A year ago, I was working as a skating coach, waking up at 4 in the morning, spending time away from my wife. Then
Which, I mean, I think I've seen other people have this similar thing where like, or like at least one other dad online, he ran a bakery or runs a bakery, and he had realized that he was so focused on the money that his children barely knew him.
I got pregnant. We welcomed our baby boy into the world, and I quickly realized how much I wanted to be home. My wife and I talked about it, and we made it happen.
Okay, I don't like this. Maybe I'll figure out a way to blur their face it or her face, their face, whatever, because that is upsetting. It's one thing to show your face, it's one thing to show the dog, it's another thing to even show the child, but like blur their face, they can't consent.
Now, I never ever miss a moment with my family. Why I
Like, I feel like this is also so different from any time that you see a woman say it. A woman who's stay at home doesn't tend to be, I love staying at home. I love doing nothing all day. I love being surrounded by children all day. As a matter of fact, I see foremost stay at home moms gloating about not being a stay at home mom anymore, or saying how now their husbands are saying how hard it is to be at home all day. Like, I feel like with this man, he clearly enjoys it, and that is so good for him. Like, I'm genuinely glad that he's happy. But I guess my point is more so, look at this. Like, he's choosing this. He's not being forced into it because he feels he has to. Like, I feel like that's enough. Just say, I want to be a stay-at-home parent. Good on you. Like, it's some of the reasons that they're using to justify or lacking a safety net that concerns me.